Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy, AI, and inference. So, inference is the capability or the tendency for people to be able to see data and infer things about people based on that data. AI brings in a whole new level of issues or risk around inference because it can makes these inferences really quickly and do it in a way that could possibly be harmful to people if people aren't looking very closely at what these AI systems are actually being able to do. So, in terms of privacy, there are laws that are trying to address this. The California law, the CCPA, for example, they have in that law that inferences that result in negative outcomes or negative decisions about people, those things should be more transparent. And so, very few laws had done that up to this point. I think inferences have been very much thought of as more secret sauce to companies or more trade secret. But if these types of inferences, for example, maybe in credit and things like that, if those types of inferences are being made or decisions are being made based on inferences embedded in AI systems, the move in terms of regulation is to more transparency. So an example, well, two examples I would say that aren't necessarily AI, but are things that we may see in the future or companies may need to be able to show in the future is how they, for example, if they deny someone credit or raise their insurance rates, if they're using AI for those types of decisions, how transparent they're going to be. So two examples that I've seen, and these are all true, is that one is, for example, there were stories about banks or people in banking assuming that if someone had an Apple phone, that they were a better credit risk than someone that had an Android, right? So that may not be true. That is an example of an inference. Also, there were examples of insurance companies using things like Google Maps to determine someone's insurance rates based on their neighborhood and things like that. So that also is an inference where your insurance rate may not be based on entirely you as an individual, how you drive, or what your worthiness is for insurance. So these types of things can create problems, especially if they're not transparent, and potential bias in the system. A recent appellate case was won by a person. The case is called New Jersey versus Arteaga. I talked about this case a couple months ago. So basically, this was a case where someone was arrested based on information in an AI facial recognition system. The defendant won this case. Basically, all they wanted was to be able to see or understand the technology that's being used, understand the information or how the AI generated or came to believe that he was a suspect. And I think even though people haven't talked about this case a lot, I think it's going to have implications around transparency in AI systems, especially in situations where someone could possibly be jailed or harmed in some way or have some negative consequence as a result of what happens in AI systems. So it remains to be seen how this will play out in other states. We're seeing a lot of states in the US be able to pass more laws. They may pick up on this. And then also on the international scene, there's definitely a desire, especially in places like the European Union, to create laws and regulations around AI, which include transparency and also how inferences are being made by organizations. That's it. Thank you.